Alright, my knights, what is up? So, we have this guy here, Nux Taku, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Now look, before I get into this, no real disrespect to Nux Taku. I mean, this video did give me so much cancer. It gave me, literally, an epic amount of cancer. But, no disrespect to him, he makes some decent content. I've watched some of his videos before, mainly his honest anime descriptions, and I think a few of his top 10s. But when it comes to debating a certain topic like who would win in a fight, after watching this video, I can honestly say that he needs to stick in his lane. Now, I want to do this with you guys because I already watched it, but we're going to be going over again, so yes, I'm willing to take extra doses of cancer in order to thoroughly debunk these claims, which are just downright awful and very, very, very retarded. But, don't worry guys, look, if you get cancer, don't send me the bill. Send him the bill because it's his fault. It's his fault that you got cancer. It's not my fault. It's his fault. But, I skipped the first 40 minutes because basically he's really issuing this kind of like challenge to Seth the Programmer to basically come and debunk him. And you don't really need Seth the Programmer. Anyone could easily debunk this video. Anyone who has seen, watched, listened, read any type of content that comes from both One Punch Man and Dragon Ball. I forget, there was another person who was saying that somebody could solo all of, like, Dragon Ball and stuff like that. I think they were debunked, too, but, you know, this is another one of these videos that are just basically saying that this character can beat this character, and here's why. Well, actually, this character... Oh, yeah, it was a Ben 10 debacle, right, where everybody was like, oh, Alien X can solo anyone. Then that was debunked. Thoroughly raped. Even I made a video which thoroughly raped it. But, don't worry, Nux Taku's video is going to be in the description below if you want to debunk it yourself. Yeah, and go check out his channel. Trust me, that's what I'm not trying to do. I'm not trying to throw shade. Although when I first watched this, I did throw a lot of shade. I virtually called him a moron. And I can't really insult his intelligence because this is the only video I've seen of his where he's doing a who would win. It's just that the arguments were so unintelligent that you'd have to say moron. Not that you're really trying to call somebody a moron, but you get the point. You guys get the point. So I skipped about 40 seconds in because, like I said, you know, he's really just issuing this challenge to Seth the Programmer to, like, slap a big giant X on there and say, you have been officially debunked, but I don't know if Seth's going to make a video, and I don't really care. I'm here for myself, and I'm going to be debunking it for all of you guys right here. And I believe Chuck the Cybercuck, you know, one of my least favorite people, has literally left a comment saying to debate me. Don't worry, I'll put that up on the screen right about nowish. Alright, so let's get into it, because I believe after the 40-second mark is where he starts getting into his argument. So let's go beat by beat. Whew.
Fighting on Saitama's side against not just Krillin, not just Goku, but pretty much everyone. And no, I am not gonna use the, well, he's a gag character, so he's invincible bit, because that's a bit of a pathetic try, fam.
Okay, so he says from this first little bit here that he's not going to use the gag character stuff, but basically by the end of this video, you're going to see that he actually basically just says because Saitama's a gag character. His whole reasoning is Saitama's a gag character. So he says, I'm not going to use the gag character debate, but basically I'm going to use the gag character debate, which has been thoroughly debunked. Saitama's not a gag character, he's a parody character. Sure, he makes fun of tropes in anime, specifically shonen, but he is not unlimited. His gag is not to one-punch anyone, because he can't. It's been shown numerous times they can't just one-punch anyone. He actually needed effort in order to one-shot certain foes. I know. People hate when you bring that up. But it is a fact that, you know, basically when somebody is confronted with facts and evidence that contradicts their belief, they become more rooted in said belief. He's not a gag character. He can't one-punch anyone. He has limitations. And he has to abide by the physics of his world. Now, of course, they're different from ours. I mean, for crying out loud, Crabman, which he brings up later in this video, ate a bunch of crab and then basically became Crabman. So that's the physics of Saitama's world. I mean, even like with Bon and them, their kung fu is basically out of this world, and no one can do that in real life. Which apparently is going to be one of his arguments about real world, and it's going to be, I think it's his first argument, and It's going to be thoroughly debunked by me, but let's continue.
I'm going to try to be serious about this one as opposed to my usual, more lighthearted and jokey content, because I'm really not trying to give the impression that I think everyone else is a puny fool, like some other power scaler YouTubers do. Not that I'll say who I'm talking about.
So he was clearly talking about Seth in that little clip, but you can see the little flash, and it's obviously Seth. You know, if he wants to come into my video and say, correct me, no, I'm not talking about Seth, and blah, 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 whatever, I don't care. It just seems pretty obvious to me that he's talking about Seth. So, Seth is very arrogant, and he's a gigantic tool and asshole. And the thing is, that arrogance, he has a right to be, because usually, he's not wrong. Now, I know, it sounds like I'm sucking him off, and I don't even like Seth the Programmer, and I've even made a couple of debunked videos on him myself, but to be frankly honest, he has earned a lot of it. He is considered a great power scaler, although people do try to call him biased with Dragon Ball content, even though he proves he's not all the time. I mean, he's earned it a little bit. Gotta give him credit where credit is due. Let's continue here.
But, please allow me to break down my fight on the behalf of Saitama. Seth, if you catch me in any mistakes, and I'm sure you will, or at least you think you will, but you're not the kind of guy to admit defeat, so, I don't expect you to agree, but you'll have the honor to show my thumbnail with a big X on it and call it debunked, so it's a win-win situation for both of us. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and this is all my points. I'm not taking this from other YouTubers. If I happen to have the same one as one of them, please let me know. This video has 3 parts and 3 reasonings as to why I believe Saitama would beat Goku. Yes, even mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, because that doesn't really affect my reasonings.
Alright guys, here we go. 3 parts, 3 reasonings. We're about to get into it right now about why Saitama would beat Goku and virtually anyone, specifically in the Dragon Ball universe. So let's make sure we keep it to the right motions. So pretty much in the Dragon Ball universe. But here we go. Let's get into it. Time for the cancer.
Firstly, I have a slight problem with power scaling altogether. Once you're trying to scale world-busting level characters by just looking at the pure feats of the 2 characters, Goku's universe level and Saitama's only planet level. Wow! Obviously Goku's stronger.
So apparently he's one of those people who don't like power scaling. Now, I know. At the beginning of the video, he kind of just said, oh man, I'm not going to hate you for your craft if you do power scaling and stuff like that. But he just pointed out how he has a problem with power scaling. This is inherently the problem right here. All these people usually come at these debates, including Nux Taku, but I shouldn't expect any different. I mean, he thinks that Superman, without specifying what Superman he's talking about, just Superman in general can defeat Goku. Yeah, so people usually come at these versus things. They're like, oh, no power scaling. No power scaling. They take the death battle approach of not using power scaling, even though oftentimes a lot of these people who discredit power scaling will use power scaling themselves. That's besides the point. The point is, basically, he's basically giving his reason why I don't like power scaling, because he's like, oh, well, you look at the feats alone, Saitama's clearly never shown any feats, you know, on Goku's level. So if you just look at it by pure feats and through scaling, obviously Goku would totally shitstorm. And the thing about power scaling at its base level is simply this. If Carnage Kabuki, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, this brooch dude from Saitama's world in One Punch Man, can defeat Genos, and Saitama can defeat Carnage Kabuki, then by extension, Saitama can also defeat Genos. That's power scaling at its base level. You're scaling a character off of another and attributing a feat to that. That's basically it. Now, you can do like Seth and stuff in them and go into more analytical territory with it, you know, expand upon it, but, you know, at its base level, that's what it is. But, let's continue here.
Now, once we're stating facts, let's also just point out, we've seen Goku at full power, and we've seen him take damage. 2 of those things we've never actually seen in Saitama. Even though Saitama never output nearly as much power as Goku, and never tanked nearly that much damage. Obviously, I admit that. Let's just put on the table, we've never seen Saitama try his hardest. We've never seen any opponent attack ever phase him.
Okay, so he already starts off, and this is my favorite part. I kept saying, we're 2 minutes in, bro, and I'm already debunking you. I know, I've been just rambling on. It's a 13-minute video, by the way. I haven't even got past the 3-minute marker, and I've already just been stomping him at this point. So, basically, he's saying that we've seen Goku at full power, and we've seen him take damage at full power. Okay. He's trying to say now that, well, we've never seen Saitama at full power and we've never seen him take damage. The damage one is a straight up lie. We actually have seen him take damage. So I came up with this little analogy because I believe he's going to get into the fact that because we've never seen Saitama take damage, or we never seen him go full power, you know, that's a reasoning to behind why he could beat Goku. And he also says that, that's what I call the walking contradiction. Literally, you guys just heard it, that we've never seen Saitama output as much power as Goku. To say that, oh, because we've never seen Saitama take damage against any of his opponents, obviously means that because we saw Goku take damage, he can win, right? Even though we've never seen Saitama even come anywhere close to outputting as much power as Goku has. And the fact that when we see Saitama utilizing his full power at whatever percent you want to give, it doesn't really matter. Whether it's 1%, you know, for those people who just can't stand their favorite superhero looking like a fucking weakling, to 50% or 30%, whatever percent you want to say that he used when he uses his serious series, whatever percent you want to say that is, you know, we haven't seen him go full out with it or whatever. So, you got two people crossing the road. Okay, one is an ant, one is a human. Now, the ant crosses the road, and he's not hurt. He doesn't get hit by a car or anything like that. He makes it to the other side. The human walks across the road and gets hit by a car. And he takes damage. Now, if you want to use Nux Taku's argument, that by his reasoning, the ant would be stronger than the human. Because the human took damage and the ant did not. And we both know the peak of their power. If you look up what an ant can do at its peak, and you look up what a human can do at its peak, it's clear that the human would be stronger by, you know, sheer feats. If you want to go there. I'm not talking about an ant scale to the size of a human. I'm talking about an ant the normal size that it would be. The problem is, again, if you look at the contradiction there, saying that the ant would win is a literal walking fallacy because you didn't see the ant take damage, he didn't get hit by the car or anything like that, but the human did. And it's a human at peak physical condition, and it's an ant at peak physical condition, which is their utmost levels of power. One took damage, the other one didn't. That doesn't make the ant more powerful. Just because we didn't see it take damage doesn't mean that that human couldn't stump it and absolutely win a fight with that single ant. In fact, the human would win no difficulty. The same argument is to be said with Saitama and Goku. Saitama has never fought a foe that can give him real damage. Except for, you know, when he took damage from a certain foe. But we're going to ignore that. But it hasn't been anything major, okay? It's never been on the level of Goku taking damage from higher tier foes. But you gotta look at the level of each foe that Saitama's faced. He's not fighting the same level of opponents that Goku has. If you put Goku in Saitama's universe, he would be Saitama. He would basically be Saitama. If you kept him as strong as he is in Dragon Ball universe, he'd be the new One Punch Man. Literally, he would solo everyone there, including opponents that fucking Saitama took damage from. But like seriously, it would be an absolute mud stomp for anyone that came to Goku, and then you'd be like, damn man, Goku's so strong. I mean, he's never taken any damage. But because he's in a Dragon Ball world where people can actually challenge him, and people can actually hurt him because they're either on his level or surpass his level, which is a very high level, mind you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. A very high level, mind you. It means that he would have the possibility of being able to take damage. Saitama, on the other hand, you know, not really getting that challenge from, you know, anybody, not really, wouldn't be so much as worried about that because he's never faced anyone really that could give him that heavy amount of damage that somebody like Goku will receive. You know, somebody who's pretty much at close or surpasses level. I mean, we could theorize and say characters like Blast, the #1 hero, may be superior to him, but we don't know that. But, let's continue.
Here's what we did see from Saitama, though. He never bruised or bled, and we do get some hard data for at least some of what he can do. So for a moment, I want to focus on his not serious punch against the Sea King. And no, it's not an outlier attack because we've seen many similar side punches. This punch not only killed the Sea King, but also stopped the rain, obviously without touching the clouds, just like you wouldn't need to necessarily touch Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku to, I don't know, disintegrate the guy with air pressure or whatever. So saying his attacks are dodgeable is not exactly a complete tactic.
Hey, moron! Fucking moron!
Okay, so he's made another fallacious statement that is just literally, it was literally one of the other most retarded things. Again, we're not to the 3-minute marker, guys, and he's literally failing this hard. So basically what he's saying is that Saitama wouldn't even need to touch Master Ultra Instinct Goku in order to obliterate him with air pressure because, why? Well, no real reason. I mean, unless you count because he cleared the atmosphere. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably laughing your ass off and say, no, he didn't really say that. I mean, it's not like I'm not playing the video as we're going, as I'm doing this, debunk over it. Not playing the video to show you exactly what he's saying. So basically he's saying because Saitama hit the Sea King with a punch that not only punched through him, but cleared the atmosphere and stopped the rain, that obviously he could just obliterate Goku with air pressure. That's like literally saying Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z could obliterate Goku, Master Ultra Instinct Goku, because he screamed the atmosphere away when it was raining after losing to Android 18, and then he literally just screams, and the atmosphere clears.
Yes! Legendary.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. Because Goku has never, ever handled a punch that could, you know, destroy planets. Destroy universes. Destroy multiverses. I mean, no. Clearly somebody could split the atmosphere would obviously just obliterate him. Right? They could split the atmosphere of a single part of the planet, not even the whole planet. But this one with the Sea King is just literally taking part in this one rural area of the city. So a literal atmospheric thing on the city could obviously kill Goku air pressure. Oh wait, I know where he's getting this from. He probably saw when Jiren obliterated the Majin guy with an air pressure punch. Because Jiren and Saitama are the exact same level, right? Right, that's how that works. So if he could obliterate somebody with an air punch, that means obviously Goku would be obliterated with an air punch, right? Am I right? Let's continue. Because, that's just dumb. That's very dumb.
Because if Saitama claps and obliterates the planet, like, whatever. Moving on.
Yes, because Saitama clapping and obliterating the planet is going to do something to Master Ultra Instinct Goku. Right, yeah, the same guy who literally shook an infinite void when he was in just a weaker version of Ultra Instinct. But, yeah, the same guy who literally was able to withstand universe-level destroying punches. But, yeah, Saitama claps the planet apart and, whoop, there you go, Goku. You're done, son. You're done. But, I digress. Let's continue on.
Let's quickly run some numbers on this punch against the Sea King that I would like to talk about. If the surface area of his fist made contact with the air, without him trying of course, to cause tornado-level winds and obliterate clouds for miles, as well as, borderline indestructible aliens as we've seen with Boros, or, an entire mountain pass, like we've seen many times over the series, like when he fought Genos, that means his punch needs to be moving way past light speed. And we know he can move that fast too, covering the distance between the moon and Earth before Boros even turned off his mega form. The guy goes way past light speed. Now, here's the power scaling issue I've touched upon before. There is no past light speed, since the properties of mass become radically different and are no longer bound by the confines of space-time. I say it's an issue with all power scaling, because if you were to calculate Deku's flicks in My Hero Academia, they also go faster in light, judging by the surface area of his knuckle against the air, destroying glaciers. So that's also past light speed. I did the calculation in a previous video. I don't need to go through the hard numbers again.
Yes, I love it! He's got nothing!
And there it is. Right there. Basically, he's just really expressing about the level of speed behind Saitama's punching. That, he hits at past light speed. He mentions light speed, but then he contradicts himself by saying there is no past light speed, but then literally utilizes that for Saitama to say, oh, because of what we've seen in his anime, his punches and stuff are clearly going past light speed, but then said there is no past light speed. Which would then debunk him trying to use this against Goku to say that, oh, this punch would be effective because, it's not past light speed, right? It's not scientifically possible to go past light speed, so obviously, this punch is simple outliers and stuff like that. I know what he said. It's not an outlier. We've seen him do many punches like that. So we've seen him do many punches past light speed. But since that's not scientifically possible, the truth is, actually, no, he didn't. It most likely was supersonic, to say the least, if you really just wanted to go there and say that it has to be a part of real-world science. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. I'm going to continue talking a bit to trying to debunk power scaling because there's no past light speed.
For this first point, on a pure numbers basis, they're both in equal power range since we're assuming space-time operates the same way in One Punch Man and Dragon Ball as it does by us.
There it is. Another one. So, again, he doesn't understand the difference between fiction and reality. He doesn't understand the difference between universes. And his base assumption is that Saitama and Goku have to be at the same level. Why? Well, because their universes are pretty much close together. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Their universes are clearly not the same. There's clear differences between them. Just because a universe shares similar properties with another universe, like if there's an Earth in both universes, doesn't mean there's exactly the same. It's a little something that, if you really want to tie them together, you would use multiverse theory even then, by that structure, Marvel and DC do it pretty well. Each universe is individually different. Sometimes it's based off of timeline variations, sometimes it's based off of radical changes to the universe itself. But just because they have similar structures does not mean that they're exactly the same, and we can't just compare them by that because, again, they're two different fictions. But he's also trying to apply it to real-world applications as well, as if, well, they share similarities with our world as well. And so that means that our physics have to be somewhat comparable to theirs, if not somewhat structured the same way, meaning that these characters would also still need to have pretty close similar power because, judging by real-world applications, a lot of the impossible shit that they do, being the fact they are fiction, meaning that they supersede the laws of physics of our reality and different realities as a whole. But, just ignoring that and just trying to say that, well, physics dictates, our real-world physics dictates how they should properly act, and there's no possibilities that they can do this, that, and the other, even though they show many times that they can. But we're just going to ignore that and say that, yeah, no, they can't, obviously. But let's continue here because he's going to try to break it down a little bit more, and then we're going to get into more thorough debunking about the real-world applications once he gets further down to his points.
If you want to say, well, we see them moving faster than light, so how does that exist in the confines of their world? Honestly, that does not affect this conversation at all.
Actually, it does, because if you're trying to proclaim that because of real-world science they can't move faster than something, but in the fictional series that would have different physical attributes and limitations that differ from ours, that differ from the real-world applications because they're not the real world, then it has every bearing on that conversation. It has every bearing on this conversation. Because you can't just suggest that you can use one to overtake the other. You can't just sit there and say, well, it's not possible in the real world to go faster than light, and then you see a character who's going faster than light, and then you, by extension, dictate that, well, that's not actually possible because, well, their structure is close to our world. And saying that, well, we've seen it doesn't have any bearing on the conversation. That's literally retarded. Stop it. That's cancerous.
Because if you're trying to put hard numbers behind their attacks and trying to judge how powerful they are with the power of science, past light just does not work. There is no past light according to science.
There it is again. Now to get into this and debunk this once and for all. Again, fictional series. The dictates of that fictional series will vary between universes, not only within fiction itself, but between the real world. When people use real-world mathematics and hard numbers and science to explain a fictional series' levels or feats, that's just it. Real-world science is not an application to limit this fictional series. It is only an application to explain the fictional series. Because real-world science dictates that, no, you can't go faster than light. But yet, a fictional character has been able to do it. So what you then need to do is say, well, we can't just go off of nothing. We need some way to be able to explain how that's possible. So what we do, we crunch the numbers. We figure out light speed. And then we would times it by however much faster that person is going, judging by what we see. And then we would get a hypothetical number that, if it were real to our world, would be the amount of speed that they're actually going at. Real-world physics cannot limit the physics of a fictional series. So yes, you can use real-world science to explain a feat. You can, however, not use it to then limit that feat, because you can't literally limit them, especially when you've already seen evidence and facts that dictate that they can do something that just because you can't in your universe or in the real world, that doesn't mean that they can't. So once again, you can use real-world science to explain a feat. You can, however, not use it to limit that feat. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, moving on.
Trying to claim that the universe operates differently in Dragon Ball or in One Punch Man, where there is no cap to the speed of light, well then you basically can't judge or base any attack off anything ever.
Actually, you can. Again, you can base an attack off of anything ever. Why? Because the universes do work differently. Like, he literally puts up a map of the Dragon Ball universe, and that's not what our observable universe looks like at all. Again, let me make sure you get it this time. You can use real-world science to explain a feat, to explain how something works, but you cannot use it to limit how that works. So let's continue.
So let's try to assume that physics works the same way in Dragon Ball, One Punch Man, and our lovely worlds.
It doesn't. That's already been thoroughly debunked, if you actually look at their world, because last time I checked, no one in this world can form a spirit bomb. Last time I checked, no one in this world can split apart the atmosphere with a punch. But I digress. Continue on. This video is probably like 30 minutes long. Oh my god, it's gonna be as long as my Ben 10. Let me just continue.
Secondly, I'm out of stat territory. This second point is a claim that not you, nor I, have any fathomable idea how Saitama's strength works. If we look at his world, we don't have any rules. Every shonen is very clear, whether we're dealing with nen, chakra, ki, quirks, spirit energy, there's always a system. And there usually has to be one, because without a system, the world that's attempting to be built really crumbles at its core. Its battles are the focus of the story, and therefore, we need to understand how they work first and foremost, to try to predict who will win, what the threat of the situation is, and so forth. Believe it or not, the battle structure in One Punch Man holds actually little to no relevance to the greater tale, unlike most shonens we see. It holds no negative effect to why we love every moment of the series. So, because of that, I don't appreciate that one can just power scale him by his feats alone. If we were to treat him as a regular human and treat his so-called superpowers as a result of training, I can maybe understand trying to scale the guy.
That's literally the series, by the way. What he's talking about right now, I gotta let you guys get a big clip in there. What he's talking about right now, everything he said up until this point was absolutely wrong. And I mean on the sense that, you know, he said you can't scale Saitama's feats, that we don't know how his power and stuff works, or whatever. But then he contradicts himself by literally pointing out how the universe works. That Saitama, because he trained, he got so strong. And then he literally points out that, well, if we want to use that, then yeah, we can see people scaling him. Make up your mind, sir. What are you trying to do? We actually do know how Saitama's powers work. We do know very well how, and again, he doesn't even have powers. He did his training. We know how he works. Now, I guess I can kind of agree that his battles actually have little relevance to the overall story. I mean, because they're kind of just there because it is a parody trope on shonen. It's meant to make fun of the series, but like with a show like My Hero Academia, you can do that. You can have characterization and also showcase battles. Like My Hero Academia, the battles aren't really the main focus of the series, you know, either. It's kind of like a sub thing. It's basically to show character progression or whatever. Whereas in Saitama, it's meant to like kind of like make fun of other shonen or whatever. But it does have rules. It does have rules that we can use, that we can base stuff off, of. Again, a guy ate a bunch of crab and then became a crab man. All right, you know, Vaccine Man, I believe he's just a bunch of pollution that's took form. So yeah, we know how the rules work, and the rules is it's meant to be random, it's meant to be satirical, it's meant to be making fun at a lot of these other character type deals that do go into explanation about certain type of workings, like, you know, you look at Cell, and, you know, he was engineered and stuff like that. Well, somebody like Saitama would just take that and say that, well, Cell ate a lot of cells, or injected a whole bunch of cells into him, and then became Cell. You know, basically to make fun of it. So we do know how it works in his world, in their universe. I don't know where he gets this from, and not to mention he contradicts himself by pointing out the fact that, yes, we do know how he got as strong as he did. He trained, and thus, yes, you can indeed scale him. And you can scale him off of feats. I don't know what this is supposed to be meaning, like, at all. The structure of his universe is random, but understandable. But let's continue on.
But you heard his training regimen. Sorry to say that, but if you do your 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups a day, I don't think you'll be able to decimate a meteor with one punch. Not that I wouldn't want to watch you try.
Oh my God! No, again, that's not the point. And not to mention, again, he doesn't simply understand that our world isn't the same as Saitama's world. Dragon Ball's world isn't the same as Saitama's world. Saitama's world isn't the same as Dragon Ball's world or our world. And again, this is a parody trope because he's making fun of it. Again, characters like Goku and them who train for, what, days and then all of a sudden become super strong, like strong enough to take on gods or whatever. That's what Saitama is making fun of. So he outlines a ridiculous training regimen that you would otherwise say that makes no sense. How'd you get stronger from that? And it goes again with the shonen trope of how certain characters, like, you know, Ichigo, you know, training for 10 days and basically going from being fodder to basically being able to rival captains of the Soul Society. You see that, by that structure, that really makes no sense. It's like, what took them years, sometimes even maybe millennia, in order to achieve that level of power, took him just a week at best. But that's what Saitama's making fun of. It's like, you know, how'd you get so powerful? And then he outlines a ridiculous method of training and then say, that's all he did, that's how he got so powerful. Which is the exact truth. It seems like he's not understanding, it seems like he's the only one who's not understanding how Saitama's power works, even though they clearly point out that it's meant to be funny. It's meant to make fun. It's clearly pointed out. it's clearly pointing out the author, whoever you want to go to, this is why he wrote the series. This is what he's basically, said about the series and everything like this. It's meant to be funny. He's making fun of something.
Don't you fade into those saddened twilight skies today.
So it's like, Nartaku over here is the only one who doesn't seem to get or understand that. But let's continue on.
Yo. Hey, Pull the trigger. Ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Pull the trigger.
Maybe you should pull the fucking trigger.